Welcome to the Panavox channel. Eric, we were saying that we wanted to talk about our favorite albums of all time, personally, individually. Maybe I'll let
No,
you.
it
Oh, go
was
ahead.
it's your most listened to album or CD of all time. Not
Important
necessarily
distinction.
your favorite, just your most listened to.
Important distinction. Okay, agreed. Agreed. Maybe you can start off the discussion on that about and share with us your most listened to album of all time in your own personal experience as
Okay.
a listener. Yeah.
My most listened to album of all time is
Oh.
Steely Dan's Greatest Hits.
Steely Dan's greatest hits.
It's
All
a
right.
2 album set, and I love this artwork on the front.
Yeah, what
And
year
it's
did that come out, by the way? Just
it was late 70s. Wait, let me get my magnifying glass here.
oh yeah.
uh,
This is what happens to you when you need bifocals.
yeah.
Got to use
Um,
a magnifying glass.
I think it was 1978. It
Okay,
was came out shortly after their Asia album,
okay.
but it's double album set. It's got this cool picture of Fagan and Becker on the inside.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's a great shot. Love that black and
Yeah.
white shot. Yeah, that's
And then
great.
some guy playing the piano in the background.
Oh wow. They look like the epitome of late 70s cool right there. And
Exactly. That's exactly what I thought. But it's
yeah.
got it's these weren't the songs on here, they weren't all hits for the band.
Hmm.
But that's kind of what this is, more of like just a really good compilation, like like a great introduction to Steely Dan, because it covers their whole from their first album up to Asia. And
Hmm.
it's got some of the more well-known tracks is "Do It Again,"
Yeah.
"Do It Again," "Reeling in the Years."
Are you reeling in the years?
There you go. And
Don't make the time. Yeah.
"Ricky, Don't Lose That Number."
Dum dum
What
dum 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 dum
one of
dum.
my favorite songs.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's the introduction of that song actually comes from like a kind of a famous jazz song.
Oh, really?
It's called "Song for My Father." That's what I forgot who that jazz artist is that did that song, but I didn't find that out until like just a few years ago when I
I
was
want,
listening to the jazz station in the car. And
yeah.
then I heard that song and it started the same way. Go dun, 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 and I'm like, hey,
Hey, they kind of lifted that. Well, there's a line from that song that I like so much where he goes, "We could stay inside and play games. I don't know." I was
yeah,
a
yeah,
kid, and I was like, "Yeah, we could stay inside and play games. Maybe Uno or Monopoly." Yeah,
yeah.
something I
I
could
mean,
relate to as a kid.
I was in middle school when that song came out, and
I was a bit younger. Yeah.
like my dad's nickname for me was Rick.
Mhm.
And so when they said, "Ricky, don't lose that number," I kind of felt like they were talking to me, like they were. And when they said, "Don't lose that number," they were saying like, like believe in yourself or something like that. That was the message I got from it. But it was like, but the melody of that song is just so beautiful and like so haunting.
I
But
like the
it's one of the reasons why I love Steely Dan. But this album's it's got some great stuff on it. It's got
yeah.
Peg and Josie off of Asia. It's
Hmm.
got Kid Charlemagne
Hmm.
off of the Royal Scam.
Hmm.
It's got um, Pretzel Logic,
Hmm.
Bodhisattva, which is my favorite Steely Dan song. But this is
Bodhisattva.
What's Taking Me by the Hand. But I listened to this thing so many times.
Mhm.
Like after I got this album, like for about at least a year, I would listen to this album every single night on headphones before I went to sleep at night. Like
Wow.
when I was about 14 or 15 years old.
Uh-huh.
But I know I must have listened to this whole album like at least 200 times,
Wow.
probably.
That's
But
dedication.
yeah, I absolutely loved it. But
Yeah, there's some really amazing stuff on in Steely Dan's catalog. Yeah, and I want to talk about lyrics. Like the lyrics on "Ricky, Don't Lose That Number," I think are really amazing. The music is amazing, but the lyrics on that song and others, but just using this as an example, are really amazing because even when I was a kid back in the 70s and hearing Ricky, Don't Lose That Number, and I remember listening to that and thinking, wait a minute, this is not about some girl. It sounds like he's singing about like a guy that's his friend and the guy's going through a rough time. So he wrote a song for his buddy. And I was like, who does that? You know, because like at that time it was all about love songs from a man to a woman or a woman to a man,
yeah,
the whole thing. And suddenly some guy comes on and sings a song about his buddy going through a hard time and he has a phone number and there's a kind of a feeling of loneliness and desperation in there. And I was like, that kind of blew me away because I was
yeah.
this is a song about people going through hard times. It's very deeply personal and it's not about a romance. It's about
Yeah, well,
friendship.
that's how the song. That's definitely how the song comes across. That's how it
Yeah,
came across to me.
yeah.
I actually heard just a few years ago. I heard that it actually was written about Donald Fagen did write that about a woman he was in love with named Ricky.
Oh, it wasn't
So,
about a
so,
dude then,
so
huh?
it is actually a kind of a love song, but
Oh, I missed it.
I
Okay.
love the fact that they write their lyrics. The meaning was kind of ambiguous, and it would
Okay.
that
Yeah.
you would kind of be able to interpret the song the way you wanted to. That's how I do with a lot of songs. I'll just give it my own kind of meaning.
Yeah. Well, it
Like
could be.
the
Yeah.
anyway. I won't go off on a tangent on that.
No, but it's interesting because like it's almost like his girlfriend was also his friend, so maybe he's kind of looking at it in both.
Yeah. Well, actually, Ricky was one of his his college professor's wife, which
Ooh.
he met at a party, and he fell in love with her, and he
Oh,
wrote that song
okay.
for her. I think that's the official story about how the lyrics were written.
Oh, okay. That's
But
interesting. Yeah.
I
You
kind of like my interpretation. I like your interpretation better than the actual real meaning.
yeah, yeah. You can kind of read into songs whatever you want, but
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, well that's great, and I'm a big Steely Dan fan as well. I've not been big into buying their music, but growing up and listening to the radio, they had a huge presence on the radio for many years. Even you can still find some stations that play them today, and I just really appreciated hearing them on the radio. Every time I heard what is it? What is the song that goes? They got it made for the winners in the world.
Oh,
I want a name when I lose. So what is that one? Drink scotch whiskey. Deacon Blues, that's what it is.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to give you a little hint. I was going to say, well, they call Alabama the Crimson Tide, so
Yeah.
we'll just call you Deacon Blues. How about that?
Deacon Blue or Deacon Blues. I watched a video where they explained the meaning of that. It was kind of intricate. It had to do with his personal experiences and but
Yeah.
when I heard it, yeah.
They kind of came across as real. I think of that as their sort of their jaded album. Like they were getting into their jaded years, drink
Maybe.
scotch whiskey all that long and die behind the wheel. I mean, the guy wasn't that old really when he
I,
wrote that. He
it's
was
funny.
like maybe in his like early 30s or something,
Maybe even younger, but I thought he was
Yeah,
saying I thought he
late
was saying
20s or
I thought he was saying dying behind the wheel because I imagine somebody drinking Scotch whiskey and then trying to eat a
oh,
hamburger while he was
like
driving or eating.
cheese and crackers or something.
Yeah, when people are like they're in a hurry to get somewhere and they're driving and they're just eating what they're dining behind the wheel. But
Yeah.
I thought that was maybe more interesting than Die Behind the Wheel, but
Oh,
then
as long as you're
I,
talking about misheard
mm,
Steely Dan lyrics, I've got to tell you what about Josie, which is
okay,
on here.
all right.
I always thought that lyric on Josie was she plays rock and roll with her eyes on fire.
Uh,
But the lyric is actually she prays like a Roman with her eyes on fire, which
pray,
is actually even cooler than what I
yeah,
thought it was, you know.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you think of some like weird Roman priestess girl with her flames coming out of her eyes. That's just it doesn't get any cooler than that, man.
Yeah, yeah. So
I don't know what it means, but
yeah,
I think one time when I was a teenager, somebody told me that Josie was about like a parody of Jesus coming back to Earth. But I don't know. Like if you listen to the lyrics, you could maybe get that meaning out of it. But I
yeah.
don't know. You know.
Well, you have to kind of, well, I mishear a lot of lyrics, and Steely Dan really misheard a lot of them. I had to look some of them up on the internet and like, oh, that's what he meant there. Okay. Because I would imagine another word or another, or misinterpret what the writer was trying to say with the lyrics. And yeah, it's good to know what they actually really intended. Um,
Yeah.
it's good to know. But, I agree with you. There's a lot of ambiguity in their lyrics, so you can kind of paint into it whatever you want to see. It's almost like a Rorschach test. It'll kind of show you where your
Yeah.
head's at, what you
I
get
think
out of it.
those are the best kind of lyrics, you know, where they
Yeah,
leave it kind of ambiguous, you know, and so
yeah,
you can kind of it's like an abstract painting, you know. You
yeah, yeah.
just it can be whatever you want it to be.
But I would agree with you. There was a reason for that to be a most listened album there. That is some really amazing music. It has stood the test of time after 45 plus years.
Yeah.
This stuff is still highly regarded, maybe even more highly regarded than when it was released. So show it because confirmed your good taste, dear sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shall we go to my most listened album now?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I'm curious what's it gonna be.
Well, I think your choice is maybe a bit more inspired than mine, but my most listened album is Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles. And
All right.
I say less inspired because that tends to be on a lot of, number one album things. I think it was number one on Rolling Stone's album list for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still there, but
It's a great choice though for
yeah.
a most listened to album.
Well, and the reason it was for me the most listened to album was not necessarily entirely because of my own personal choice. It was because I was a little kid and my mom had a collection of, maybe four or five albums. Uh, my parents divorced and I was just,
Oh,
5 years old when it happened. And so we went to live with mom and it was my little sister and my youngest brother, and I was five. My sister was four.
wow.
My brother
My
was just like
my
one. Yeah.
my parents got divorced, or when I around time I was five, so
Yep.
I guess we have that in common.
Yep. Yep. So
Yeah.
there I was with mom, and for a number of years there wasn't a stepfather there, but so we were kind of in this new house. And my mom, I think she had a pretty big album collection, but I think she only put out a couple of albums. And when I was about six, she put on the Sergeant Pepper's, and I really just it lit me up. Even when I was a little kid, I was like, "This is really good. I like this one." And so my mom said, "What do you want to listen to?" And I said, "Sergeant Pepper's, Sergeant Pepper's." So she kept putting it on, and I would just went through it over and over. And eventually I said, teach me how to flip it over. And so I learned how to flip it over and, put the needle down. And of course I scratched the heck out of it. So there's certain parts even today when I listen
Oh,
to it, I'm waiting for for the needle to skip. That's how
oh,
deep the
wow.
memory is.
Yeah, yeah.
and
Right.
but I just listened to it constantly throughout the 70s. I think I started listening to it around 1973 or 74, and then just kept listening to it constantly all the way to the end of the 1970s. And it just I got to know every single note on it, every single lyric, every single vocal melody, every piece of instrumentation. I could probably right now like verbally do the entire Sergeant Pepper's album from one end to the other just through my memory. Yeah, actually
Yeah.
sing out all the parts, sing out all the drum parts and all the, I mean, it wouldn't be,
Dun, 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 dun,
I'm not gonna do the whole
dun.
thing all the way through. I would probably make some mistakes, but it was funny because when I was learning how to play bass guitar, and I thought, well, I want to cover some songs. And I thought, well, I'd love to do Sergeant Pepper's. And then I realized I don't even have to listen to the album. I kind of already know the bass line in my head, you know, do,
Yeah.
do, 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 and then started playing it and not very well, but at least I kind of knew the part, you know.
Yeah.
So I think though that there are certain parts of the album that were not. Uh, you know, like everybody knows A Day in the Life. I mean, that's huge, and everybody knows Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, and I like
Yeah.
those songs. But there's some maybe less well-known tracks from that album that are really important to me, and one of them is Fixing a Hole, and that's like maybe one of my absolute top Beatles songs of all time, and
Yeah. Same
it's not.
here.
And it's not because I'm a big Paul McCartney fan. I don't really have a preference for one Beatle over another, but I just think that particular composition is really really special. It's something
Yeah.
about it, and I don't think Paul McCartney ever equaled a song like that ever after that. You know, it was
Hmm.
just an amazing
I
piece of music. Yeah.
I like Lovely Rita too. That's
Yep.
Paul's other really good one on that album.
Yeah, and I'm not embarrassed to admit that I really like Within You Without You. And I have and it really introduced me to the sitar and I do listen to a lot of sitar music. I've been listening to it for years. And you know, I mean, I just love it. And you know, compared to the sitar music that I typically listen to, the traditional Indian sitar stuff,
Yeah.
With You Without You is very Western. It's very controlled. It's much more, you know, limited in what it does. But again, he's pouring that instrument and that tradition into that particular type of a pop format, and he kind of strikes a balance between the you know the very extensive and improvisation that you have in traditional Indian sitar music and the pop format. So a lot of people had complained, well, that's too long. It drones on forever, and it really doesn't. If you compare it to a typical raga or you know a traditional Indian composition is actually quite
Yeah.
so that's just our
I just love
culture. Yeah.
the juxtaposition of those songs at the end of side one where it goes from I think is it When I'm 64? Is that the
Yeah.
one before? Yeah, When I'm 64. And
Before
then
Lovely Rita.
and oh no, I guess I was thinking about the one before Mr. Kite.
Oh
Is
yeah.
that
For the benefit of Mr. Kite, I believe is the one after Within You Without You on the second side, if I remember correctly.
no, that's the end of the first
Oh, it's
side.
the end of the first side. Yeah, that's right. It's
Yeah,
the end of the
yeah.
first side. Yeah.
I was just gonna say I like the way at the end of the first side they do For the Benefit of Mr. Kite, and it just kind of plunges you into this sort of psychedelic wonderland, you know, and then you flip the album over and then it takes you even deeper into the psychedelia with Within You Without You. It's like they're just getting really heavy on that album, you know. It's just like we're
Yeah.
just gonna go as far off the off the deep end as we possibly can with this album, you know. That's kind of how
Yeah.
I felt about it. And then yeah, and then we get Lovely Rita and a couple other some other good songs, and then they reprise the album theme,
Mhm.
and then they just like totally floor you with the Day in the Life, and then like after a Day in the Life, you're just like, wow, You know, it's like that was how I felt about like I didn't hear that album for the first time till I was about 16, actually.
Oh
And
yeah.
and they played it on one of the local radio stations, and I taped it on the cassette. But
Mhm.
I just loved it. First time I heard it, I was just like, "Wow, this is amazing!" You know.
Yeah, it's an incredible work of art, and also if we'll go back to our recent video, a deeply psychedelic
Oh
uh,
yeah,
album. A number of songs on there that are, I mean, what is it? Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, of course, a deeply psychedelic song. Yeah,
oh yeah,
it was a drawing from one of his kids. Yeah, sure. It's not an acronym for some sort of a mind-altering drug. Yeah, I don't know. Come on, man. But
yeah.
anyway,
I
uh,
love that. I love that lyric. Newspaper taxis appear on the shore waiting to take you away. That was just like the greatest lyric
it's a
because
great lyric. Yeah,
it's like you're looking at this collage where someone has cut the shape of a car out from like a newspaper and like stuck it on this picture, you know,
yeah. Yeah.
and you're like almost like looking at artwork. John's like creating this like psychedelic video for you in your imagination or something, you know.
Well, I actually read that I had that fanciful interpretation of that lyric too, but I believe I read somewhere that kind of took the air out of that. It was kind of disappointing where I think John Lennon said that newspaper taxis were taxis that would display the name of the newspaper. They had advertising on it, so he was referring to the advertising for the particular newspaper that on
Oh,
some sort of a board or some sort of a display board where it would say by the Times or London Times,
yeah,
this headline or something. So although still even if that were the case, he's calling attention to the fact that you read you read the day's news plastered on a little thing on the side of the taxi. It's kind of a promo concept, but then he's like, wow, now the newspapers are becoming, they're moving. So that and it's still kind of psychedelic if you think about it.
yeah, it's great. I love the surreal imagery, you know.
Yeah, it's
That's
just the way that you look at the things that are actually happening in the world and the way you frame them can make them very special with
mm,
the music and the phrasing. And he says, climb in the back with your head in the clouds and you're
yeah,
and
exactly.
there's a contrast there because you're climbing. It's funny because when you climb, you're supposed to go up, but of course, when you go in a car, you're going down. And then so there's a contrast between going down and up. You climb in the back with your head in the clouds, but you're inside of a car, and then you're gone because you're leaving in the car. So it's a very clever lyric, the way it kind of contrasts all these different
Yeah,
conditions.
right.
Yeah, so amazing album for any number of reasons. People have written tons and tons on this album. I don't know what else we can
Mm,
say about it,
right.
except
Yeah.
that we deeply appreciate it. So, anything else?
No, I mean, we could get into a whole Beatles discussion. You know, I'm sure we will have more discussions on the Beatles, but we can just leave it there, I guess.
Okay, great. And maybe we can talk about some other much listened albums in future sessions.
Yeah, and leave down in the comments. Tell us what your most listened to album or CD is, or most streamed album.
Okay. All right. Look forward to your comments. Take care.